So what we have been studying is actually how do we improve our living conditions in our city? What environment should we kind of design to create a better livability in our cities? And this is what I will address through different projects we have been doing in Copenhagen. And you can say the theme is a common addressing that this is our urban living room. The city is our living room. It's not only our own kind of living room at home, but we are using the city as a living room. Again, which you can see happening around the city, that actually people are basically moving the couch out to the urban environment and are starting to use the city in many different ways and are enhancing, you can say, the living room in many different ways. So how to design our cities and how to accommodate the needs for people living in our cities. And that is something I think is incredibly important if we want to accommodate more people in our cities and actually also see cities which is growing, and how can we improve at the same time the living quality. And I will address different themes which we have been working with, which in a way are inscribed into the theme of a living room. First of all, to build cities is also about using a lot of resources when we build, and this is definitely what is addressed a lot here in this, you can say, gathering. That is that when we use resources, we should use them widely. And what is really important is that when we, in a way, use things, we should always see them as a value. So this sentence, one man's trash, another man's treasure, is something we should always think of when we work with our built environment. And this is some different examples which maybe appears as treasure, something which is not useful anymore, but which in a smart way by design can be used in many different ways. This is from a shipyard space on Refshaleøen, which by design suddenly can be transformed into an event space for the whole world, basically, where we had Eurovision Song Contest in the same space. Where there was trade many years ago with cows, meat is now a vivid gallery spaces, a vivid environment in our city. So the understanding that all spaces, even though they maybe appear as trash, has a value. And that is something I find incredibly interesting, and also something we need to remember when we kind of transform our cities. And the first example I would like to show is a silo which was built for storage of corn in the North Harbor here in Copenhagen. An industrial building built for one single purpose. And right now, that silo is part of a rapid urban development in the North Harbor, turning an industrial harbor into a new, vivid city neighborhood here in Copenhagen. And here you can see the two silos, how they looked when they were like, all the functional aspects of the silo was moved away, and they were standing as monuments from a past. What is interesting of this kind of amazing concrete monument is, for instance, if you go up it and cut a small hole, suddenly you have an amazing view. And it's an amazing structure on the inside. Things we will never ever build again is represented in a silo construction like this. Here you can see how a silo is working. You have these tubes, you have a top floor and a bottom floor, and then you have some different levels. And what our kind of task was to look into this building and see how we could transform this, not just tear it down and throw it away, but see whether this building would have a value. So what we did was to say, okay, we have this amazing structure. It has a very aesthetic beauty, I would say, architecturally. It is telling a story of the past. And what we did was to say, we want to dress it up. We want to give it a new, you can say, dress. We want to insulate it and actually maintain the silo as it is with a new, you can say, jacket on. And this is from the construction where you actually can see the layers of the transformation. You have the old silo here, and this is the new kind of facade, the new dressing up, where we handle a lot of important things of updating the building and the silo to new needs as well. And here you can see the old silo complex and the three different layers, the kind of division, the architectural visualization, how we built it, and the old part left. The silo is going to be housing and a gallery and public spaces in the ground floor down here, and there will be a public viewing platform on top and a restaurant. And what is important when we kind of design this is actually to do it in a smart way. This is an amazing kind of piece of, I would say, craftsmanship, where we have mountaineers and craftsmen in the same body, so to say. And they mount these huge facade elements, and within 2 months, the whole building is insulated in this new dressing. And here you can see recent pictures in the process of the building, turning an old piece of trash, you could say, into a new valuable piece of property, building property, and value to a neighborhood. On the inside, you have these amazing spaces as well, and they are turned into big flats with a lot of unique spatial qualities as well, where we actually are maintaining the character of the silo, the concrete structure as well. And here you can see the facade pieces with glass, where we just cut holes in the structure, allowing light into the new apartments in the silo. On top, we have placed, and you can say this is the most valuable piece of the building. Instead of putting the most expensive flat, you could say, we have decided to place a public restaurant and a public viewing platform, and thereby letting the building becoming something which is also giving something back to the city as well. Here you can see the restaurant, and on top of this you can have a view of the rest of the city as well. Here you can see the view. So all in all, this is a very good example, I would say, to see buildings which maybe appears for some as trash, as something we should rather tear down and just build something new, but instead seeing it as a valuable thing and use it by transforming it, by designing things in a smart, sustainable way. And this is, I would say, interesting that this, I would say, piece of industrial leftover is turned into some of the most valuable and expensive housing in Copenhagen. And then we can discuss whether that's good or bad, but that's just the case in this example.